Morning everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Now, who is ready to go for another motorcycle test ride today? Today we're going to test ride a 2023 KTM 890R, a bike I've always wanted to ride. So if you're interested, we'll see you at the dealership.
Okay, everybody, here we are at the KTM Test Ride Days. They've got a 1290, the 890R, the 890. They've got a Super Duke GT, and then they've got some smaller bikes all the way up to a 390. Steve is going to ride the 890. I'm going to ride the 890R. Of course, that has the 21-inch front wheel, 18-inch rear, and I'll just walk around and show you the bike. So we just had a little refreshing tour on the bike to show how to use everything. And we'll be out on the road in just a bit. Okay, so first impressions on the 890R is, man, is it tall. I am on my tippy toes. Let's start this baby up. All of the opinions that are going to be on this first ride and first impressions are only mine. If you don't agree with them, that's just fine. You may love or hate this bike. I've really been looking forward to riding it, so take my comments with a grain of salt. Don't get too excited. I'll put a section in at the end where I give you all the specs. I'll try and give you some specs as we're riding, as they are pertinent to the test ride. But I won't be playing with the menu or screens or anything like this. The bike is in road mode to start with, and that is where it will stay for the ride. It's a 5.7-inch TFT. And it shows all the information: the time, the temperature, distance till empty, your revs. Wow, that's a long reach to the ground. Hard to believe this is so much taller than my Super T. So we'll just wait to get onto St. Albert Trail here. So it's interesting, when you turn on left or right signal, both flash on the TFT display. And of course we have traction control on, we have ABS on. As I said, we're in road mode. Gear position indicator in the top right. Oh, this bike has some nice jam. So this is going to be a test ride and first impressions, as I said. I won't be playing with a lot of the electronics while we're riding. I'll just be enjoying the ride. We've got about a 30 to 40 minute loop we're going to be doing. First impressions of the ergonomics. I like the bar placement. I think it's perfect for the way I am. I would not need barred risers. The seat actually feels pretty comfortable for initial impressions. The clutch has really nice engagement. The throttle seems quite nice. We won't bother setting cruise control and such while we're riding today. On our TFT display, to get back to that for a second, we have, of course, odometer, trip. We have the volts for the battery at 14.6 and a average and current consumption of gas at 4.4 liters per 100K. Speaking of gas, this bike has a 5.3 gallon tank, or 20 liters. The mirrors are very nice. They have a little bit of my shoulder in them, but they show the vehicles next to me quite well. I like the round mirror. It's quite nice. This motor has a lot of pep. So this is obviously the 890. I think it's 899 cc's. It is a 6-speed motor, 6-speed transmission, sorry. Chain drive. It has 105 horsepower at about 8,000 RPM, and it's got about 79 foot-pounds of torque at about 6,500 RPM. So almost the same power numbers as my Super Tenere. My Super Tenere has 112 horsepower at 6,000 RPM though, and it only has 89 foot-pounds of torque at about, I think it's 5,700 RPM. So very comparable, except that this weighs about 100 pounds less than my Super T. This is 467 pounds, or about wet total, so about 210, 215 kilos. A 34.6-inch seat height, so it's tall. So even me, at 6 feet tall, 210 pounds, with a 34-inch inseam, I have to stretch to reach the ground. So this would not be a bike for short riders. I assume they probably have a lowered suspension version, and they probably have a lower seat option as well. Nice sticker there. Maximum speed, 160 kilometers an hour. I wonder if that's in second gear or third gear. So the big claim to fame for the KTM 890s is that low slung fuel tank, keeping all the weight down low. And they've actually got a metal cover on the outside, so you don't actually have to buy a skid plate for the bottom of the bike, because there is a plate over the gas tank which protects the bottom of the bike. It's supposed to make it much more manageable off-road. Unfortunately, today we will not be going off-road. This will be all on the road. You will have to watch other reviews to see how it does off-road, but I'm sure it's an amazing machine from the reviews I've seen. The stuff that someone like Chris Birch can do with this bike is amazing. Let's turn on my mesh communicator and we'll see what Steve's up to.
Hello.
Hey Steve, what do you think of the 890?
I quite like it. I'm not sure I'm a big fan of the quick shift though. When downshifting, it does jerk a little bit. Upshifting, it works great. Seems very nimble.
So these bikes have the ready-to-ride electronics packet already installed. So they come equipped with cruise control, the actual physical controls, but you need to buy the package in order to, the electronics package in order to activate the cruise and the other things, quick shifter. I have never owned a bike with a quick shifter, but I quite like this. Of course, going down to first gear, you still need to use your clutch to stop. Oh, there's my first bobble. I found neutral.
I did too once.
It's a very easy pull to get into the gears. It's quite easy to find that neutral.
And cruise control will work in second gear.
Yeah, so it is probably a third gear and up for the cruise control.
Second.
Oh, second gear it works, okay?
Yep.
Oh, there we go. Cruise control is set in the second gear at 37 kilometers an hour. Wow, this thing's got power though, Steve. I like it.
Yep. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, or I'm not sold on the quick shift.
Yeah.
But I would like the guy in front of me to do the speed limit.
Well, it is only 60 here. And they did say at the beginning we may go 10 to 15 kilometers an hour over the speed limit. And out of habit, I keep reaching for that clutch when I should be using the quick shifter. So as I said earlier, it's a chain drive, 6-speed. There's 4 different driving modes. There is multiple options for adjusting your suspension, traction control, and ABS. getting back to ergonomics, this little fly screen actually does a pretty darn good job with wind protection. I don't know if it raises any higher than I already have. I mean, I have a lot of wind on my upper chest and my arms, but I don't have any buffeting. I don't have any bobbling of my head, so it's clean air, even though you feel it. So most highways in Alberta are 110 kilometers an hour. So at 110 kilometers an hour in 6th gear, we're about 4,300 RPM, 4,200 RPM.
I'm in 5th gear at 110, and it's 4,800 RPMs.
Yeah. I'm going to assume, similar to my Super T and similar to Steve's 1290, most of your power comes on between 4,000 and 5,000 RPM. I have not adjusted the suspension for my weight or my preferences. I'm just using whatever they had set for the demo ride, but it's quite comfortable. It's soaking up the bumps really nice. And as I said earlier, the big difference between the 890 and the 890R is I have a 21-inch front wheel, which has a 90/90 tire, and the rear is a 18-inch, which is a 150/70. There's dual 320 millimeter discs on the front with 4 piston Brembo brakes, and the rear has a single 260 disc with a single pot Brembo brake. I think part of the reason the suspension on this 890R is just so amazing is it's got the WP fully adjustable 43 millimeter suspension, giving us 9.4 inches of suspension travel. Oh, it corners nicely. Oh, I could get used to this quick shifter. This is nice.
That was just a little roll-on in 5th gear.
Yeah, it's good. This thing has lots of power.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very surprised. This stock saddle is very comfortable to me.
Yes.
I'm on my sit bones. And yeah, I don't feel any pressure points. I was worried because it's a flat plank style seat versus a separate front and rear like on my Super T. But going over these little bumps on this road, yeah, the seat's very nice. Quite impressed with the bar position too. It's a nice wide bar, gives you lots of leverage. The handguards keep obviously all the wind off your hands. And the bar position height is perfect for me. I would not need bar risers with this. And it looks like, from looking at the clutch and brake levers, they are fully adjustable.
Yes.
Of course, LED lighting, LED turn signals, LED brake light. My reach to the pegs is nice. I would say I have a little more bend in my knee than I do with my Super T. But not uncomfortable in any way.
I think you could get away with dropping the foot pegs about an inch.
Yeah, they are. The foot pegs are adjustable.
Yeah, and that would make it almost perfect.
Yeah. The layout of the controls on the handlebar seems very intuitive, very easy to get to with gloved fingers. Yeah, I just can't get over how well this little windscreen works.
Yep.
Absolutely no buffeting, no wind on my helmet, just nice, refreshing, cool air on my chest and arms. I can definitely see why there's a big movement to going to the middleweight adventure bikes, because they're giving you, you know, probably 3/4 to 75-80% of the power of the over 1,000cc adventure bikes, but you're saving 100 to 130 pounds of weight. My only question would be, how would this be riding on a long transcontinental trip on the highway, on the roads, if you had really strong wind gusts and driving rain? Would the fact that this bike weighs over 100 pounds less than my Super T cause you fatigue and wear on you, and potentially keep you from having better control of the bike because it's not as heavy. I'm not sure. I mean, that would be one of the trade-offs with being able to take this off-road and throw it around more because it's lighter. And of course, lighter means easier to pick up if you drop it.
Shall I demonstrate that?
Yeah, not that we've ever done that, Steve. So I'll have to ask the guys, but assuming that Steve's bike, his 1290, takes premium gas, I'm going to assume this also takes premium gas. So I'm purposely hitting all these little cracks and all these little imperfections in the road, and it is a really, really nice ride. The bike feels really planted and solid. I was worried that weighing 100 and something pounds less than my Super T, it was going to almost feel flimsy, or for lack of a better term, feel like a little dirt bike, like a kid's bike, but not at all. The tank is just the right size for my knees to fit around, so I can pinch the tank.
Yep.
I would probably put some tank protectors on here because that would wear the nice paint job off over time. One really nice thing with this quick shifter is it has rev matching, so you don't have to worry about coming in too hot to a corner, downshifting, and having the rear wheel hop on you because your engine speed and your tranny speed are not equal. Oh, our first stall of the group. And it wasn't me.
Nope.
Oh man, this quick shifter is so cool. I want a quick shifter.
It goes against everything in my being. I want to pull the clutch in.
And I suppose if you were going to ride long distance on this, the other thing to consider is while on this short test ride, it is nice to have the wind on your chest. Excuse me. It's nice to have the little breeze keeping you cool. Is that also something that would fatigue you over time? Because I know with my Super T, I've got a complete bubble of no air around me. It's nice to see test ride days occurring again this year after the what seemed like forever COVID experience. I just can't get over every time I put my foot down on this bike. God, it's tall.
Yep.
And I guess the question people need to ask themselves is this 890 a good value for the money? Because I believe, sold as it is here, no bags, obviously a shorter windshield, no crash protection other than what comes around the fuel tank. It is 16.8, I believe, is it not, Steve?
Yeah, just under 17 with the tech package.
Yeah, just under 17 with the tech package.
Which, after riding with it, I want the tech package.
Yeah, Steve's going to be ordering that right away. But that's what I paid for my Super T.
Which I think is a better bike.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, obviously there's many manufacturers of motorcycles so that everybody can get what they need, because not everybody likes everything. Do I like this bike? Yes, it's a very, very nice bike to ride. There are many things I like about it. But would I ever consider selling my Super T and getting one of these? Absolutely not. The Super T for me, because I don't go off-road as much, just has more comfort, more power, feels like it's more power. Now, power is a subjective thing, of course. There are what the numbers say on paper, what people tell you on dyno results, and what you actually see when you're on the road based on engine bore, stroke, compression, gearing on your bike, based on where is the engine mounted in your frame. Is it a stress member? Is it not? How low is it as far as how will it affect the torque or the upper end horsepower of the bike? Many, many bikes out today, while the numbers state that they would have a very low horsepower and torque, actually are equal to or faster than bikes that have higher numbers. So that's why it's important for everybody to get out for a test ride, to see what tickles your fancy. I do notice when we get up to 100k an hour or more, I do have a buzzing through the handlebars, and I find that my throttle hand is getting tingly. And I know on my Super T there is no vibration in the foot pegs or the handlebars at any speed. Not something that should keep someone from buying a bike like this, but just something to be aware of. When it comes to purely subjective things, of course, the looks of this motorcycle are not for everyone. It is very much more futuristic than a lot of other motorcycles. And I don't know what Steve thinks about this, but I'm not a fan of the exhaust note. I love my Super T and I love his KTM. When you get on it, you get a nice little burble from the exhaust, and I can't hear anything from this.
Yes, it's very underwhelming.
Yeah, it's very quiet. I am a fan of a TFT display, though. That is one thing that I wish my bike had, given that it's just a regular LCD.
Yes.
Because as we have gone kind of in a circle on this test ride, and the sun has gone from in front of us, beside us, behind us, I have not had any glare on my TFT screen.
Oh.
So it's been very easy to read. And when the sun is behind me on my Super T, I do get quite a bit of glare on the instrument panel. This bike has really, really good brakes.
That's because they're brand new. Like, this bike has 1,500 kilometers on it.
What does this one have? This bike has 1,700 kilometers on it.
And they said they're probably going to be for sale after the demo ride.
Oh.
The dealership, these are all belonging to Riverside.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, somebody may get a really good deal on a demo bike. You know, one thing is given that this is a smaller physical bike than my Super T, and given that it weighs 100 pounds less, I find that my Super T transitions side to side better. Feels lighter, feels more nimble than this bike.
Yes.
Of course, now that just could be because I'm used to my Super T and this is my first time on this bike, too. So, take it with a grain of salt, folks.
Hopefully these guys are going all the way down to the end.
Yeah. Very nice test ride. Quite enjoyable. And we will do a wrap-up at the end when I get home.
Okay, so we're back after our test ride of the 2023 KTM 890R. Just to give you some final thoughts and sum up what I thought of the first ride and first impressions of this motorcycle. It is a very, very nice motorcycle. The motor has good power, the suspension is good, the brakes are good, the seat is quite comfortable, bar position, ergonomics, distance of the seat down to the foot pegs, all very good. The TFT display is wonderful to look at. More than enough power on this motorcycle at a very good price, not including the discount you could get if you bought one of these demo bikes from Riverside Suzuki Yamaha KTM. Now, I always ask myself after test ride, is this a bike that I would buy for myself? Not in this case. I would not buy an 890R. And not because there's anything really wrong with the motorcycle, although at the end of this we'll touch on a couple things I didn't like. But more so because it's not the right tool for the motorcycling that I do at this point in time. On my Super T, I generally do 80% on-road, 20% off-road. Most of my off-roading is gravel roads, fire trails, stuff like that. To me, the KTM 890R really seems to be geared more towards the person who's going to be riding 80% off-road and 20% on-road. Someone who's really going to put it through its paces off-road, use all of that 10.4 inches of ground clearance and 9.4 inches of suspension travel front and rear. That's where I think this motorcycle would really shine. So when you're just riding it on-road for 80% of the time, comparing it to my Super T, it doesn't seem quite as refined and as comfortable. Now, part of that may come from the fact that the Super T weighs over 100 pounds more than the 890R. So to me, it feels more stable, more planted, more comfortable for highway riding. There were a couple things that I wasn't that impressed with the 890R, and please in the comments let me know what you guys think. First is, when I ride a motorcycle, I want to be able to get my feet on the ground. And I suppose I could have slid my bum to one side of the seat to get one foot firmly down, but I mean, on that motorcycle, it's so tall with a 34-inch inseam, I can barely touch my toes to the ground to get both feet down, like both toes down. So the seat height would be a no-go for me. I want to be able to get my feet on the ground. The second thing sounds simple or silly, but I really don't think it is. I think it's something that would annoy me over time. And the KTM rep told us this before we went on the ride so we wouldn't be freaked out. When you put your turn signal on, either left or right, both the flashers go off on the dash. So it looks like you have your four-way flashers on. My buddy Steve, as you know, has a KTM 1290. My buddy May had a 390. None of them did it. I don't know why they designed the 890 to, on the TFT display, look like your four-way flashers are on when you turn a turn signal on. That's really stupid to me. Maybe it's something that could be fixed with a firmware upgrade, I'm not sure, but that shouldn't even need to be addressed. You put on your left signal, the left flasher goes on. You put on your right signal, the right flasher goes on. Seems pretty simple. So, if you're looking for a middleweight motorcycle and you're looking at all the other ones out there, there's many, many of them out there, make sure you consider riding the KTM 890R, especially if you are a real off-road enthusiast. I think you'll be quite happy with the motorcycle and what it can do for you off-road. Now, as always, if you like this video, consider subscribing, consider hitting the like button and the notification bell so YouTube will let you know when we have another video coming out. And until the next video, keep that right hand cranked and your rubber side down.